everyone, welcome to your first video lesson. We are going to do kind of like a quick emotional check-in with you first. Obviously you don't have to do this because I'm never going to see it or grade it, but this is just a good mental exercise for you. Just kind of placing how you're feeling right now in regard to that blue dot in the middle. So like this week has been very stressful for me with gathering all the materials and making the video lessons. So I'm going to put myself a little bit more on the stress side. How I'm feeling, I'm going to say overwhelmed. And then is there anything that we can do to support you? So I would just saying you guys actually doing your work, that would make me very happy because our team has put in an immense amount of effort to get this up and running for you, okay? So let's get into the math now. So this first page here, this is just, I'm just going to go through it and talk about it. I'm not really going to write anything for you. The key features are labeled here. So on these graphs, remember that's your x-intercept. What I'm putting in red, these are where the graph crosses or touches the x-axis. And then the y-intercept, I'll put that in blue. That's where the graph is going to cross or touch the y-axis. Maximum and minimum, that's looking at the highest or the lowest point in a certain interval. So if I'm looking at, let's say the maximum, the very highest point on this graph is up here, and the y value of that point is 6. So you could label that as like -2, 6, or you could just say the maximum value is 6. The minimum value is the lowest point on our graph, and that happens at -4, -3. So I could either list that point, or I could say the minimum value is -3. So if you're talking about a value, a minimum value, you're just listing the y value of that point, or you can list the entire point itself depending on what the question is asking. It's okay for a function to not have a max or a min. You might see that happen if you have an empty circle or an open circle where the point doesn't exist there. It's not like a closed circle. It's not included on our graph. Or if the graph is extending to all real numbers where you don't have like an absolute maximum or an absolute minimum. Okay. Increasing and decreasing intervals are basically just where is your graph going uphill and where is it going downhill. So looking at this visual here, the piece that's in that kind of reddish orange color, the graph is climbing uphill at that point. So that's what we're going to call increasing. And then the two yellow highlighted areas, the graph is going downhill. So we're going to say that the graph is decreasing at those points. Okay. The way that you list that is in an interval. So you'll see here labeled, you've got these interval points here. So your graph is going to be increasing. Let's look at this visual again. Your graph is increasing from this point to this point is where it's going uphill. So I'm just going to take the x values of those points. So increasing, I'm just looking at the x values. That's going to be happening from -1. So the x value at this point is -1. The x value at this point is 3. So I'm going to be increasing from -1 to 3. Decreasing, so now I'm going downhill. That is going to be happening from this point to this point. The x value at those points is -4 and -1. And then I'm going to decrease again from this point to this point. And those x values are 3 to 6. Whenever you have two separate intervals that you're trying to bring together, like we do in the decreasing case, you're going to put that U for union. Remember, union is like you're bringing two things together. I'm trying to marry these 2 points together in a union. Don't look at the part that's here. We're not going to be using brackets. The reason that this is wrong is because you cannot be increasing or decreasing at a certain point you can only be increasing or decreasing on an interval. So the answer that I wrote, the one that has the parentheses, that's correct. Do not write it with brackets like you see it on here. That's a typo. Okay, the next page is talking about end behavior. We kind of did discuss this in class. We didn't assess you on it, but we did talk about it. Anytime that you've got a even degree, so looking here it says even. Even degree just means that the highest exponent is an even number. So here you have the 2's. 2 is an even number, so this is an even degree polynomial. Even functions also point in the same direction. So you'll notice the y equals x squared is both ends are pointing up, and for negative x squared, both ends are pointing down. For the odd functions, so here, your highest exponent is a 3. That's an odd number, and the graphs are going to end in different directions. So one end might be pointing down, and one end might be pointing up, and vice versa. To tell if the leading coefficient is negative or positive, a positive leading coefficient, both ends, if you're looking at the even function, so looking at this case right here, both ends of the graph will be pointing up, and you won't have a negative sign in front of the x squared. If you've got a negative function, both ends will be pointing down, and you do see a negative sign in the front there. And the same kind of thing goes for our odd functions as well. You can look at that chart. Okay, so that's just kind of a reference page for you if you need it. The next portion, these are all of the different functions that we've looked at so far. The functions that we have not seen yet this year are the rational, or the log, or the exponential. We have seen all of the other ones either in previous classes or we've looked at them this year. If you want to reference back to this page, it's just showing you the general shape that those graphs are going to make. And then down here, you'll see it gives you a little equation that you can look at. So all of that stuff was just notes. You don't really have to fill any of that in. That was just a quick review. On Google Classroom, I posted an assignment that has a link to a Quiz-Is. There's 2 ways you can access it. You can either click on the link that's listed in the Google Classroom, or you can go to this website, joinmyquiz.com, and enter this code. I think it has the deadline set of March 30th at midnight, so try to get it done by then. This will be taken as a grade. I will put it in Skyward as a grade. So when you're doing this, you need to log in to Quizzes, and I want you to use your school Google account. So use your NEISD login. Do not use like some other random login. Since I'm grading this, I need it to say your name. I need to know that it was you who did it, okay? That is it for this video. If y'all have any questions, let me know.